Wonder why my mic was muted. That was weird. It was on here, but it was muted on the. Anyway, let's try that again. Goal Norway. Even as we come up, and I'm wearing the Norway shirt tonight. White Rocket Entertainment podcast number 993. So close. From the Norwegian part of Southern Illinois and Eastern Virginia, it's the AU Wishbone podcast. John, how are you tonight?
I'm well, Van. How are you?
Good. We are once again, as we do every year for the NCAA basketball tournament, among other things, we have for those watching on YouTube, we have the current World Cup going on the side, keeping an eye on Norway and Senegal. But we are here to talk about Auburn sports. Auburn football has some things to talk about. We have some Auburn golf to quickly touch on. We have some recruiting stuff, of course. And we always want to start out with this. It's the Auburn Fun Meter, our weekly look at how much fun it is to be an Auburn fan right this very minute on a scale of 0 to 10. How are you feeling as an Auburn fan right now, John?
Some good U.S. Open news. Recruiting continues to do well, but it is the depths of the summer. Things are slowing down, not as much Auburnish stuff. So I'm going to say 6.5.
Yeah, we lost a recruit that we kind of knew was coming. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Not disastrous by any means. But again, those of us that enjoy the World Cup are having something to kind of distract us away from the long summer wait until good old American football kicks off in a few weeks. And before that, of course, the barbecue show kicks off in a few weeks, and we get to talk about it in depth. So, meanwhile, we've got some recruiting stuff we're going to get to, but first let's go ahead and do our spring sports update. I believe we had 2 golfers playing as amateurs in the U.S. Open this past weekend.
Yes, the U.S. Open, always traditionally a brutal tournament with very difficult conditions and scoring, and 2 Auburn amateur golfers participated, and Jackson Koivun finished tied for 23rd at +5 overall. He was tied with another amateur for the lowest amateur score by anyone, and the tied for the lowest final round by an amateur at the U.S. Open since 2019. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. Been a few golfers come through in the last
pretty good. That's pretty good.
7 years. So, and this is it for him as an amateur. After this, it's pro time.
Yeah, I believe the very next tournament is next. It will be his first pro tournament. I'm not sure which it is or what the name of it is, but yeah, I mean, really remarkable. I mean, we forget, when he's kicking butt as a college player, it's a very big difference between playing other college players, many of whom will not end up going pro, versus going up against the absolute cream of the crop of all golf players in the world in the last, that are playing now, that have been playing as much as 30 or 40 years or more, So you can't expect him to walk out there and be number one. Tiger Woods don't come along very often, but I think he has the potential to be in that group that dominates over the next few years.
Sure. I mean, again, I think he's going to be one of those players who is consistently playing well and scoring well in all the tournaments that happen over the next few years. And again, there were, 100 golfers in this tournament, and he finished tied for 23rd. So
yeah,
a lot of pro golfers who was eating his dust already this weekend.
Oh yeah, I would have watched the whole thing if not for the World Cup taking up all of my TV time right now. It's we're in that part of it where it's like the Thursday and Friday of the NCAA basketball tournament, right? Where it's just wall to wall. So that'll be over soon. So I'm planning on, in fact, I think tomorrow is the last day of round 2, and we blow through round 3 because they play the 2 games from the group at the same time, so you can't cheat. There were those moments in the past where the two teams that were about to play found out that if they tied, they would both go through. So they just sit there and do that for 90 minutes. They're like, no, you can't do that anymore. So I think we talked about that last week. So, by the way, we do have a special guest as always on the show this week. Boris is here because Boris wants to show off what Mira gave me for Father's Day.
An Illinois dad hat.
Yep.
Look at that.
And but it's got the right colors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Boris can't read, so he's happy with all of this. I mean, he thinks I am an Auburn dad is what it says, right? So he's happy with it. So anyway, I thought you guys would all enjoy our little Big Ten moment. All right, let's get into this recruiting thing that we were waiting to talk about. We got a bunch of new recruits, and all right, let me lay out a little scenario thing for you here, John, and you give me your thoughts on it. We know that there are Auburn fans who at this point just live to see bad things happen so that they can say, I told you so, I told you so. They're worse than Alabama fans, right? Alabama fans want us to fail so that they can make fun of us.
Yes.
But it's a clean, understandable hatred of the other.
Sure.
When the call is coming from inside the house, though, when it's other Auburn people wanting us to fail so that they can say, see, we suck. I told you that you were just a sunshine pumper. I told you that you were just getting your hopes up. I told you I. That's the kind that really just pisses me off. I expect it from Alabama people. I shouldn't have to expect that garbage from Auburn people. You see what I'm saying?
Agree. And if you're cheering against Auburn to prove yourself right, I'm not sure you're an Auburn fan. I think you're more about your opinion fan.
Exactly. So anybody that could look at what has happened in Auburn recruiting over the last week, over the last 5, 6, 7 days, and find it a negative, you have really got to be stretching. Right. In other words, we bring in let's see. So we got Ryan Johnson, James Pace, another Maryland guy. We got Nair Crum, and we got Preston Williams and Carmoni Williams. We got all these guys coming in. Oh, Nasir Banks. We got all these guys coming in, and then somebody can say, oh, we lost Kingston Miles. It's a disaster. Auburn sucks again.
I just
pull my hair out at this.
But also, those people don't deserve our discussion or attention. I'm not worried about them, but what they think.
Well, John, you and I are alike in a lot of ways, and we have things that are different, right?
I know.
And one of the ways we're different is that nothing bothers you, and everything bothers the crap out of me. And we know this. We've known this for 30 years. No, 40 years almost.
All right, 30 was fine.
That's fair. So it bothers me, but let's look at it and when we get to that one, then I'll explain what I'm talking about. All right. So start at the top and talk a little bit about it, and I'll kind of chime in where I got a note or two.
So this is since the last episode. All right. 4-star defensive end Rion Johnson, 4-star defensive lineman James Pace, another defensive end. Picked Auburn over Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina.
Yeah.
3-star safety Kinnear Crum. 3-star athlete Preston Williams. Small school Alabama guy, small high school. And then running back Kamari Williams, 3-star flip from West Virginia, as you mentioned. He's from the Memphis area. And that's
right. I said on Twitter Virginia Tech, but he was West Virginia. That's right. Yeah. Okay, my bad.
He was from West Virginia, and he was a proactive recruit because Auburn knew that Kingston Miles was getting ready to flip on them to Missouri, where people thought he would go originally. He's, as we talked about, he's from the St. Louis area, and he was highly recruited by Missouri. He flipped to Missouri. So Auburn went out and got another running back to have 3 running backs in the class. They really wanted that. And then Nasir Banks, a 3-star athlete from Powder Springs, Georgia, committed tonight, within the hour before we started the show. So I think 23 commits now.
23 now, yeah. I don't know what our ranking is. We were ranked 8th this morning. That was before Banks. So I don't know what Banks adds to our numbers, but if you're going by cumulative, it'll raise us up a little bit. If you're going by average, he's not going to help us. But if you're going by cumulative, and there's 2 different ways to do it. We talked about this, then it'll help us.
Yeah. But again, it's June 22nd, right? Yeah. Signing days in December. We're going to have the class basically wrapped up at the pace we're going. It'll be wrapped up like the end of this week. So we're only going to take 25 guys or so. Maybe we take a couple more because there's some developmental guys, but that's the ballpark.
And this is and it's looking like a top. If it's not a top 10 class, you got to realize we get up in the top 10, but other schools are recruiting too.
Yes.
So then we get pushed back down again, and we just go up and we get pushed back down. We go up, we get pushed back down. But I mean, it's going to end up, this class is going to be somewhere between 8 and 15 probably, right?
That's right. Which is really good for hasn't played a game yet coaching staff.
Never. Alex Golesh has never coached a game for Auburn.
That's right.
Byron Brown has never set foot on the field against an opponent, a non-Auburn scout opponent, yet. There is no proof of concept for Golesh and his philosophy at Auburn yet. So to have a top 10 class or right close to it is excellent. Now, Hugh Freeze brought in good classes, but he never could do anything with them. So what we're hoping is that this is the magical combination of bringing in good classes and then make them, develop them, and use them on the field, right? Yeah. A good combination.
That's right.
So, all right. All right, a couple of things. A bunch of Maryland guys. And is that a DJ Durkin thing, or is that somebody else on the staff that's Golesh connected, or what?
I think it's mostly Durkin. I think and clearly he's got some connections at these really good Maryland high schools where a bunch of these players are concentrated. And then also I think it's a thing where when one player comes here from a school and he likes the environment, he likes the culture, he likes the coaches, he tells the guys back at his old school. Mm-hmm. And I think that helps.
And you and I have both lived right in the D.C. area in the past. And, when they say Maryland, you might think Maryland, Kansas, Nevada, what is that? But Maryland, a big chunk of Maryland is Washington, D.C., basically.
Yeah. That's right.
And it's a great recruiting area. These are solid players that come out of there.
Oh, yeah. No, very good.
They might as well just say Metro D.C., honestly.
Yes.
All right. Preston Williams is the athlete from a small Alabama school. He basically played every position for them. He's one of these guys that they had in camp. They evaluated him. They thought he was way undervalued, and they worked on him and got him early on, right? I want to keep reminding folks, there's 2 kinds of 3-star players. There's the 3 stars that are true 3 stars, and you get them when you can't get anything better. And then there are the 3 stars that have not been fully evaluated yet, or are from smaller schools and just never really been seen against big competition and live before, or because they're not being heavily recruited yet, their recruiting rankings are still kind of low. And we don't base, our coaching staff does not base its recruiting on what the magazines or ESPN says. They look at them themselves and judge them and decide on them, on their potential. And so the guys that we've been taking that are 3-star have not been fill up your roster and pray. These have been guys that they think are going to be outstanding and are just underrated right now.
Yeah, I think at USF, they had to be good at evaluation because they weren't getting to pick at the top of the barrel. They were having to pick guys that the top schools didn't want, and they had to be good at evaluating to say this guy's better than people think he is. He has traits that we like for his position, and they've kind of brought that with them.
Exactly. Okay. Kamoni Williams is the West Virginia guy from Memphis. And again, he's this guy. He's very, very close to a 4-star already. And then he's the one that kind of was brought in because they thought that Kingston Miles was going to flip anyway. And he's apparently much better suited to our offense because he's a great kind of like you remember when we first got our current starter running back, Jeremiah Cobb. When we first got Cobb, people talked about he was really good out of the backfield catching the ball and everything, good hands. And that's kind of the word on this guy. He's 3-star, but he's like 3.999 stars and is expected to go higher in the next evaluation, everything I heard. And they knew because Miles is from St. Louis, there was a lot of pressure on him to stay home and play at Missouri, and I think he finally went in with that. They probably just showed him a picture of the Auburn running back room and said, dude, really? And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll come to Missouri. So can't blame him. And then what do we know about Nasir Banks? Another athlete, Powder Springs.
Yeah, he's a teammate of a couple of other guys that have committed to Auburn.
Okay.
And then other guys, they are future recruiting Auburn, but a guy that can play is probably going to end up at corner, but could end up playing offense. Recruited by like Pittsburgh, Boston College, UNLV. So we'll see.
Well, as Pat Dye famously said, the road to Atlanta runs through Maryland. But somebody did point out that probably the most famous player we've had in modern times that came through Maryland was Ben Tate.
I was going to say that 5-star defensive lineman that didn't do anything came from Maryland. You remember that guy?
Yeah, Cowart or whatever. Byron
Cowart.
Brian
Cowart. That's it.
But Ben Tate was great. He was our first. He was our first 1,000-yard back in that long string we had between 2009 and 27. I think 18 was the year we broke the streak, right? So
somewhere in there.
After Carry-On graduated. So from 9 through 17, we had at least one, sometimes 2 or 3 1,000-yard rushers every year. And he was the first. Because I remember when Chiswick's staff came in, our running back coach, Curtis Looper, said he went to Ben Tate first thing and said, we're going to make you a 1,000-yard rusher this year. And they did.
Yep.
And then we started saying, you Ben Tated. One of the more succinct lines we've used over the years. When he would run over somebody, you've been tated. Justin Ferguson had a really interesting note that I saw yesterday. Good old Justin. Hugh Freeze recruited a lot of big players. That was the one thing Freeze did do. If you look at the blue chip prospects that Auburn signed out of high school for the 3 classes under Freeze, 18 are on our roster and 22 have transferred. 2 went to the NFL early. So 18 are currently on the roster, 22, and then 2 left. Now, of the 22 who transferred, most of them were in the 23 and 24 classes. That includes Cam Coleman, Amaris Williams, Kayan Lee, Malcolm Simmons, etc. But here's the thing. Of the 18 blue chips that we signed in 2025, 18 that we signed last year, 13 are still on the roster. That was Freeze's best class, and 13 of the 18 are still on the roster. So, we can point to all the players leaving as they did, but of the best recruiting class Auburn has had in the last 5 years or more, 13 of the 18 are still on the roster. That's not too bad.
No, it's pretty good. It's 13 of 18 of the blue chip 4 or 5-star guys. So that's big.
The blue chip guys from 2025. Yeah.
That's
Pretty
big.
good.
Pretty good.
All right. So tell us why recruiting, John. Why is it going so well? We've got to know.
Well, we're never going to really know, but here we have theories, right? And number one is strategy. I mean, they had a good plan. They designed all their visits around this time of year to get players in so they could get commitments and get things locked up. I think number one is I think these coaches are better recruiters than people thought when we brought them in. We knew some of the defensive coaches, like Dirk and Von Trelk and Williams were good recruiters, but it's very clear that some of the offensive coaches are excellent recruiters as well. And some of the other guys that Golish brought in are good recruiters, and that Golish is doing a good job helping close. I think they clearly are good at evaluating who, what kind of players they want and who fits their system. So I think they have a good strategy for who to go after and how to go after them. And that some of that comes from the GM, the general manager position. I think they have money, but everybody has money, right? It's not just about Auburn spending more money than everybody else, because that's not true. Some of it is, I think, Auburn compared to Auburn, even a year ago, in the class heading into the fall, Auburn had committed some extra money to keep the high recruited players on the roster, and I think took some money out of the recruiting budget to do that. And so we had less money to spend on recruiting last year than we do now. So I think that's a relative thing that's helped. And I think the other thing is we did not take a big name quarterback, so that probably freed up some resources for other positions to go get good players. In particular, some of these offensive linemen, I think that probably made a difference. So.
Yeah, that's a very important point, I think, is that we were really looking at getting one big time quarterback, and he would have cost, whichever one it was, would have cost us. There's the one that went to USC and then the other went to Oregon, would have cost millions and millions. That one quarterback who would have definitely sat on the bench this year, and who knows what would have happened next year, costing us millions of dollars. And instead, we just decided, all right, if we can't get either one of the top two guys we want, let's just get a bunch of other good players and go out there and do as best we can this year and into next year and try again, go after another big-time quarterback. So I think that was a good plan.
I think it was a very good plan. Let's heighten the overall talent on the roster with more good players around them, especially if like quarterbacks want to see you're developing good offensive line depth. I think that'll help attract people.
So you have frozen. I don't know why. Let me see if I can bring you back here. Uh-oh, you've turned black. The power's gone out. The lights have gone out at John's place.
We're gonna keep going.
I'm sorry. I thought that would help, and instead it made it worse. The internet is a capricious mistress. All right. I don't know, John. I don't know what's happening. I guess I'll rather than that, I'll stick. Oh crap! I'll stick with the big picture there. It'll make the disaster happening smaller. All right. Well, we don't know what John's doing over there. He's making faces at us. Who knows what? All right. Anything else? I had a little thing, kind of an analogy. Okay. So there's a soccer element to this while we're talking about the World Cup and everything that I'm going to kind of touch on. I think it's really interesting if you listen to these really knowledgeable soccer analysts when they're talking about this stuff. They will say that what a good offense does is it poses a series of questions to the defense that the defense has to answer. And what that means is the offense does things in such a way, and this is applicable to college football or the NFL as well as soccer. That's why I'm talking about it. The offense puts the defense in a position of having to decide what they're going to do, right? The offense dictates. The offense says, we're going to do this, this, or this. And it is up to you to answer the question of what are you going to do in response? Are you going to do A? Are you going to do B? Are you going to do C? Now, I think it's interesting that Argentina has always run a soccer offense like that, where they are on the front foot trying to put the defense, the other team, on the back foot and throw them off and make them have to answer these questions they don't really want to answer, right? And the great thing about that is our current U.S. national coach is Argentinian, Pochettino. And I butchered that, but Poch, anyway. He is doing that with U.S. soccer. He has our offense attacking, going forward, dictating to the defense, telling them, here's what we're going to do. What are you going to do about it? How can you react to it? And that's an Argentinian style. And I think that it bears certain similarities to what Golesh likes to do on offense. We've talked about this, right? Golesh's offense is attack, aggressive, push forward. And because it splits out so wide, it says, what are you going to do? Are you going to cover those dangerous receivers that are almost out of bounds on both sides? Or are you going to kind of come in tight and try to stop our big running backs from running out of the ball? We're asking you these questions, and you're going to have to answer a series of questions here. What are you going to do? How are you going to react? How are you going to play this? Because we don't think that you can do all of those things. And so again, I see similarities there. It's very exciting to me. I really am looking forward to watching our offense. And I think our defense the same way. Justin Ferguson, again, this is why I was reading his thing, had a really interesting article over the weekend where he was talking about how do you reconcile a fast-paced attacking offense like Golesh with what Durkin likes to do, right? Because historically, a fast-moving offense likes a defense that bends but doesn't break and gives the offense time to catch its breath. And the defense likes to not have to go back out on the field a lot and be, they like to sit back a little bit. Whereas in this case, we've got a fast-paced, attack-oriented offense and a fast-paced, attack-oriented defense. And they asked Golesh, how do you reconcile those two? And Golesh says, I told Durkin from the jump, you've got to go out there, attack the other team's offense, and get the ball away from them, whether that's through fourth down, whether that's making them fumble, whether that's intercepting, whether that's sacking them. We are going to be proactive and aggressive and attacking on defense and get the ball back and give it to that offense. And that offense is going to be aggressive and proactive and attacking and go after it. This is just music to my ears, right? I just love every bit of that. Your thoughts?
And we're going to talk more about this, what you just said, as we get closer to the season. I just want to be clear that the attacking more on defense is a difference from what we've done the last couple of years, where we hung back more and made the other team march down the field and make mistakes, and we played kind of bend but don't break. And because the offense, tried to maximize their time of possession to give the defense rest and stuff, because we knew that's a way we could force the other team to make a mistake at some point. And doing that, it worked. But I think you're exactly right in terms of what Golesh wants from the defense and what he wants from Durkin. And we're 100% going to be watching that this year, talking about what is going to be different and how Auburn is going to play differently on defense. And at times, will the aggression of the offense lead to some creative tension between the offense and the defense? I think that's something we're going to talk about as we get closer and watch for, because I think that's very important in this offense. When you play this style of offense, it's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah, the history shows that traditionally it doesn't always go too well. And so the thought that we could kind of be, if all goes well, we could actually be pioneering a new style where they actually do work together. That would be fine with me, right? Like the first time in history that that a fast offense and a fast defense could live together in the same, on the same team, and the two guys, there they are, the two guys not want to kill each other. There we go. I was trying to find the two of them together. There's this new, by the way, file type called WebP, and our video system does not like it. So I have to jump through 50 hoops to be able to show you guys these pictures. It's really annoying, but there we go. All right. So I just thought that was an interesting parallel.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the World Cup, real quick, we have a bracket challenge coming up very soon. As I said, I think tomorrow, which is the day you'll be listening to this on the audio podcast, June 23rd, Tuesday, as always. That's the last day of round 2. And so on Wednesday, the last round of the group stage, where you can still have 0-0 ties, happens. Once that's over, they move on. They move into the second round. So by the end of this week, we'll be into the second round. And that's the knockout phase, where they go into overtime, basically, and there's no ties, and somebody loses and somebody advances, okay? It really turns into like the NCAA basketball tournament after the third round. So that's when we're beginning our pick'em. So a couple of people have asked us, are you going to do, were you planning on doing a World Cup brackets thing? Norway almost just scored again in the 89th minute, or 90th minute. And so we're going to do it starting with the knockout phase, right? So you're going to be sending out invitations to the patrons.
Patrons should expect an email this week. They should immediately go ahead and fill out their knockout bracket, because the knockout round starts Sunday. That means your picks have to be in by Sunday before the first match starts. So
awesome. And I tell you, I'm glad we're waiting until now to do this, because if I had filled out an entire bracket before the group stage even started, it would look a lot different in a lot of ways. I certainly wouldn't have Cape Verde, and yet it's very likely Cape Verde goes through the second round. They tied Spain. They tied somebody to Uruguay. Oh, this was great, John. I saw a great clip. They took the Saruman up from Fellowship of the Ring, or Two Towers, I forget. I guess Fellowship. And it was before the Uruguay game. Saruman goes, "Perfected my fighting Uruguay." They weren't perfected. In fact, they tied Cape Verde. But anyway, I thought that was cute. All right. So yeah, if you are a patron already, be on the lookout for the email to get in on our bracket challenge for the World Cup. We only get to do this once every 4 years, so it should be a lot of fun. And then if you are not a patron and you're interested in doing this, or if you just like supporting our show, because, and I'm going to start hammering this point. You made an excellent point last week, and I'm going to bring it up again in just a minute. Not only do we not have ads, we're one of the only podcasts and YouTube videos left that doesn't have ads. Not only that, we don't have gambling ads.
That's right.
And I'm very happy about that. I had not even thought about it until you mentioned it. And then I'm like, he's right. And I'm glad. So if you like to keep us on the air with no commercial interruption, I'll tell you how in just www.auwishbone.com, right? Click on the big orange button, but we're going to get to that in just a minute. We have our little World Cup minute here. We've already kind of talked about it a little bit. I'll just say, how awesome was it that the United States crushed Australia after crushing Paraguay? The turkey game doesn't even matter. And I said on Twitter, Turkey A, Turkey boo. I in fact,
you're not getting the symbols over that.
Yeah, I had it on here somewhere, but I must have deleted it. I said it's kind of like with New Coke. They're Turkey A now. I think it's time to realize this was a bad idea, bad marketing ploy. They need to go back to Turkey Classic as soon as possible. Turkey A does not seem to be working out for them. About like New Coke. Our listeners of Senegal just scored again, 3-2. Our listeners of a certain vintage will remember what we're talking about: New Coke versus Coke Classic, right? So it was that 5 minutes where Coke tried to taste like Pepsi, and then they realized that was a bad move, very bad move. So yeah, the U.S. Did you get to see the U.S. and Australia?
I did. That was great. Loved it.
It was like 2:00 on a Thursday or Friday, wasn't it? So I wasn't sure if you'd be able to.
Oh yeah.
We went to my whole family. It was Juneteenth, so we were off, and so we went to Buffalo Wild Wings and watched it there. And while we were eating way too many chicken wings and nachos and stuff, and it was a glorious afternoon. And then the thing was that Scotland played right after that, so we had kind of a double header. We came running home. I took off my U.S. jersey, put on my Scotland jersey, and Scotland, they lost, but it was a tough fight. So against Morocco. I do like that Scotland has a song, and it's not about their team, it's about them, the fans, right? No Scotland, no party. No. The Scottish seem more interested in how much they can drink and sing and party. They just want the soccer team to keep winning, not so they can win a trophy, but just so the fans can stay at the bars and keep drinking longer and not have to go home. I love that about this.
American cities want that as well, I think. So.
They drank Boston dry. I'm so proud of that's my people, John. I'm so proud of them. All right. So anyway, there was no Formula One race this week, so we don't have a fantasy Formula One league update. But that just means if you join as a patron this week, you've got the rest of this week to sign up for the fantasy Formula One league and set your lineups for the next race coming up. I'm assuming there's a race coming up this coming Sunday since there wasn't one last weekend.
I believe
I'm not sure. I think they're in the European segment of the thing, so they're probably
Silverstone, I think.
Okay, yeah. Usually as you get to the middle of summer, they're in England, and then they usually end up in Hungary, and then they take a break. I bet Austria is coming up too. So it's probably Silverstone and then Austria and then Hungary, and then they'll take a break. All right, so let's go ahead and thank the patrons, because again, we don't have ads, we don't have gambling ads, we just have fun, and that's because of these great patrons that keep this program going, and we have to thank them. And they include our great title sponsor for and that would be the great Samuel Salvatore, who we love to death. There is also Logan Chilton, who reminds us, what do you sacrifice to be a Scotland or an Auburn fan?
So what do I sacrifice? Everything.
No kidding. There is Ben Spooner, who's probably thinking that more World Cup talk on this show would be
blasphemy.
Yes. Carl Von Drunker. Remember, I can't see you, so you're just going to have to insert your comments here without me knowing you're trying to. I apologize. Carl Von Drunker, Chris and Clinton Stewart. Is it Baylor Hate Week yet? It's getting close. There's the barbecue week, and then there's Baylor Hate Week. There's Earl Ricks, Phil Amthor now giving Van and John a break from. No! That was me when Morocco scored on Scotland. Let's see. Richard Stevens, Steve Trewick, Ann Pridgeon. By the way, they're in the 97th minute, and Senegal is trying to tie the game up. It's 3-2. This turned into a fairly good, entertaining match here. Ann Pridgeon, Shane Bailey, Susan Trewick, Willie Carden, win in Norman, Oklahoma. Amen. Gary Grant, a.k.a. AU Fan at KSC, and 2023 AU Wishbone NCAA Men's Tournament Challenge champion. William Morgan, Bradley Blackman, Eric Morgan. Man, them Morgan boys is like, it reminds me of the Earps in Tombstone. I guess it's Morgan Earp and Wyatt Earp and who was the older one? There's Morgan, there's Wyatt. Oh, the one that Sam, the old, the cowboy, Sam, what's his name? I can't think of his name. And then, of course, Doc. Somebody on here needs to be Doc Holliday. Michael Kirshner, War Eagle from South Arkansas, David WDE Salmons Esquire. By the way, John, I'm thinking about, in my queue of upcoming novels, I'm thinking about writing a Western, and I might have the Earps and Doc Holliday show up as guest, like a cameo in it. I'm thinking about it. I haven't done a Western before. It's one of the few genres I haven't written in. G Money, Rich Reimer, Steve Harlan, Wes Atkinson, Dan Thompson, a few more patrons, then back to the authorities. Catherine England, Will Summerford, no one fights like Gaston. War Eagle always. Jacob and Robin Fleming, Mickey B, Winston Body, Washed Up Fantasy F1 Team Principal Lane, Brandon Smith, Daniel Odom, 2008-2009 Taliban Wrangler World Champion. Amen. H-Town Danny. I was really hoping that Iran and Iraq would have to play each other in this World Cup because they're both in it. We could have gotten an Iran-Iraq game. How awesome would that have been? That'd make the Iran-U.S. games look like daisies and daffodils. Boy, they'd have just come out and immediately tried to kill each other. It'd be like a hockey game where they drop the puck and the guys just immediately start fighting, Oh my gosh. WDE Richie, Chris Hilton, Bob WDE Salmons, Auburn University debate team 74-75, and current Sleazy Shyster. I'll go Rhythm and Blues. Still trying to think of the other Earp. Wyatt, Morgan. Crap. I have to Google it in a second. Charles Mooney. I've just read so many books about him. Bacon and eggs walk into, here we go. Bacon and eggs walk into a restaurant. The host says, "Sorry, we don't serve breakfast here." We don't serve Virgil. Hey, Virgil Earp, of course. That's the older one. What movie is this from? We don't serve their kind here. What's that from?
Talking about droids.
Yes.
That's in Star Wars is the correct movie title.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, that's as far as you have to go. Star Wars, that's right. Luther and Kelly Ottaway. Why does Chase Fralick moonlight as a vocal coach? Because he knows how to hit a good pitch. There's a little delay on me hitting the sound there just because I'm having to because now I'm having to open up the little box to read the people's full names. It's just kind of annoying, but that's how it is. Todd Robinson, aka Undisputed 2012 Doubles Badminton Intramural Champion. Wow. Chad McDowell, Auburn Football's Elvis, Wade Ward. It's just gone final in Philadelphia, or wherever this one was. Norway 3, Senegal 2. Norway, that should put them through to the second round, pretty sure. I don't know if they're going to win the group, but and their coach is run up in the stands to make out with some woman. So I hope that's his wife or girlfriend. Maybe not. It's the Norwegians. Who knows what they'll do? Wade Ward, Reynolds Wolf, Philip Martin, Jeff Hunter, David G is the health and safety rep for
Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage.
I have no doubt they need a health and safety rep. Alex and Michael in Singapore, Mark Margolis, Ashley Lamar, Timothy Russell Milling, Randall Walker, David Simpson, Josh Teal, Tony Perry, Rob Morgan, Patrick Williams says the AU wishbone is simply,
whether you like it or not, learn to love it because it's the best thing going today.
Woo! Can't see John, but I'm just going to assume he was pointing at you as well. Construction Tiger, Papa Todd, Stephen Houston, Kevin Mahan, Blake Heron, Sarah Hines, Sasquatch, 7-time North America hide and seek champion, last year's basketball bracket winner, Tim Pittman, our very own Boris the Tiger. Napoleon's wife is buried next to him, so they're only a Bonaparte. Actually, Josephine is not buried anywhere near Napoleon, but okay, I like the joke. He is in the Invalides, right? He's in that big wooden casket in Les Invalides. Les Invalides.
I believe so.
Yeah, they brought his remains back from St. Helena and put him in the Invalides, the military hospital. Let's see. David D. Auburn Blue. Dr. Crackham. Bill Weathers. I'm going to assume that Josephine is probably buried at Malmaison, but I could be wrong about that. That was her house. Could be wrong. Eternal Glory. Walt is settling in for the long, dark tea time of the soul. That is the Auburn sports off season. Ooh, I almost closed out the whole webpage and not just this box. Yeesh, that would have been a disaster. Antoine Morris, ABB, Wiggerbur, the 2005 Auburn University Intramural Horseshoes champion. Tyler Ward, Mark Squire. Cue the anthem, boys. All right, here we go. Auburn, number one. Morris, number one. Scotland, number one, lads. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Russia, number one. Oh, ho, ho, ho. There we go. I felt like Boris needed to intervene since we can't see John singing along. So, but we could see you spiritually, John.
I was singing. I was doing the directing like I normally do.
There we go. Good. Okay. Alex Wynn. That is one of my favorite segments. We haven't gotten to do the full thing in a while, though. It'll come along. It all has to come along organically. You can't force these things. They have to just come up naturally. That's one of the things that I enjoy about the show is we have a lot of little bits, but we let them all come up organically, right? We don't force it.
That's right.
Well, sometimes we do, but not that often. Usually we let them come up. Kenneth Brent Raines, the barbecue.
You have failed me for the last time.
AKA Auburn Dad for Life. John Stubbs, Clay Henson, Justin Bean, James Taylor, Ruth, and Darren Sutherland. Ben Amos, Spanky. Spanky says being at the bottom of this list is like
the 11 a.m. Jefferson Pilot time slot of death.
I like having an excuse to play that every week. I appreciate him including that in there because it's one of my favorite little sound bites, and it's nice to have an excuse to hit that button. Oh, you know what? I did it again. We were talking about the World Cup, and I forgot to hit the background music. I'll play it through the rest of this. Let's see. Chris Como, Darren Pyle, Theodore Gary, David Smiley, Trevor Johnson, college equestrian expert Auburn Elvis. Hey, you falling up. A New Hope is better than Empire.
Wrong!
Paul Bankson, MVP, captivating Kathy Bright.
You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
The Lord of the Rings and the World Cup music mixed together is a pretty strange thing. Ben Regas, Bobby Polite, Elizabeth Donald, I'll buy this for $1, Rich Hammett, Chris Braun, Alex Browns, the Slinko family. What is the difference between Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back? One is a great start, the other is a masterpiece. I didn't realize Empire was the start, but okay. Jim McCrory, I am Tiger. Why do melons have weddings? Because it's our old favorite here. That's right. New York Tiger, CT Tiger, Jim Myers, Trey Jackson, Howard Franz, Peter Wang, Willie Mo, Chris, and our one-time and anonymous donors. Again, if you enjoy the show having no commercials and you enjoy the show not having gambling stuff and all of that, then help us out, www.auwishbone.com. Click on the big orange button, become a patron. You get to do the upcoming World Cup League. You get to do the Fantasy Formula One League. And, of course, we'll have like a bowl pick'em at the end of the football season. We'll have the NCAA basketball tournament pick'em. We do stuff year-round. We've always got stuff going on. All right. Let's see if we've got a Guess the Game for this week coming in hot and heavy here.
Hello, Van, John, the rest of the AU Wishbone family. This is Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist here with Guess the Game number 175. Guess the Game 175 was sent in by Brian Dupree. Let's give a listen to what Brian sent in.
The snap. They flip it back to rolling to his right, throws to the end zone. It's dropped. It's dropped. Auburn wins. Auburn wins. Auburn wins. 4 overtimes. Auburn wins.
Okay, guys, I will see you in the file.
All right. The announcers were,
Was that Rod?
I think so. So that means
What was Rod's last? Rod's last football season was 2018.
So an overtime game in the late 2010s, 4 overtimes. Auburn won when the other team tried a trick play and it failed.
On like the 4th overtime.
It wasn't there a small school overtime that we freaked out about at Jacksonville State or Mercer or one of those kind of. I think it was Jacksonville State that went to overtime with us.
Yeah,
we changed quarterbacks, maybe Bo Nix came out and what's his name, the guy from LSU that went to 10 schools, TJ Finley came in.
I think he's playing again this fall. It's insane. That's very possible. I want to say the Jacksonville State game was 2015 or 2016, and we had to score some crazy play late, but I'm not sure if it was them dropping a pass. What about? All right, because the first thing I thought of was like a Texas A&M overtime game, but those have all been since since Rod hasn't been around, unfortunately, very unfortunately. So it couldn't be those, right? It couldn't be like the Cadillac Texas A&M game or the one a couple of years ago. What about the Northwestern Bowl game, 2009?
Could be.
Or is that not enough chaos? I mean, he was like 4 overtimes, but the other one that it made me think of was the Clemson overtime in 2010. But I don't know how many overtimes or.
Let's go to the hint file. How about that?
Yeah, we got several possibilities here, I think is the thing. Let's see if it's in
here. We are on the hint file. Let's get rid of those bleeps and give it another listen.
The snap. They flip it back to Reed, rolling to his right, throws to the end zone. It's dropped. It's dropped. Auburn wins.
Oh.
Auburn wins. Auburn wins. 43-41. 4 overtimes. Auburn wins.
That's Andy.
Oh,
you're correct.
I will see you guys in the answer file.
I didn't hear it that way the first time, but that's Andy. I think it is the A&M game. What do you think?
Reed, you know yes, quarterback. Okay, yes, I think it is the A&M game.
A&M
from which year?
Was it the Cadillac one, or was it? Didn't we beat them twice here? I mean, in Auburn here. I mean, freaking Illinois.
Here,
yeah, in Auburn. There was the Cadillac game, which was 22, and then there was the Hugh Freeze game, which I guess was 24.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that was 24. I think.
Yeah, I don't think Reed was the quarterback in 22. I think it's the later one.
Yeah, let's go 24. So
A&M,
Texas A&M
24.
All right, John, Van, if you guys figured out that this is Auburn playing Texas A&M in 2024, then you win. Woo. I want to thank Brian Dupree for sending that in. If you'd like to be like Brian, I can be found in lots of different places. I am at Yard Sale Artist on X, Facebook, and Instagram. It is all at Yard Sale Artist, or you can email me directly at Jared, that's JARROD, at theyardsaleartist.com. Until next time, Van, John, Ricky.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it sounded like Andy to me the first time. I haven't listened to. Well, all right. Let's be fair. We haven't had as many occasions to want to go back and listen. Unfortunately, it's not Andy's fault.
To recent games.
Yeah, I mean, 2019 is the only halfway decent season, other than a couple of the 2 Texas A&M games, really, that we've wanted to go back and listen to at all. So that's not Andy's fault, but I just am not as, you know what I mean? I've heard Rod and Jim way more than I've heard Andy. Again, not Andy's fault. We love Andy, but, you know. So, in fact, I've told the story, right? Not all of our listeners know that my wife's aunt was like the station manager at maybe SIU, and Andy was on the staff with her for a long time before he came to Auburn. So, yeah, she's good friends with him.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, all right, well, we got it. I just, for some reason, my brain was not hearing Andy right the first time, but then certainly
It's
the
all
second
good.
time. Good deal. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jared. Thanks to our contributor for sending those in. What we have around the SEC, we got time tonight. Let's get it in there.
Well, no, you're skipping listener email.
Oh, I did. Hold on. I guess that I think that my screen. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I was at the wrong place. Okay, here we go.
Thank you. Order. Questions to the Prime Minister.
It's time for listener questions. Dun 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 on the AU Wishbone podcast.
We got 2 questions tonight. The first one's from frequent emailer Bill Miner, who says the subject line is field goal shootout. And he says, hey, guys, with the World Cup going on, when the knockout round is reached, a shootout determines the winner if there's a tie after extra time where 5 players shoot on the goal. If college football ended ties with a field goal shootout, which 5 all-time Auburn kickers would you choose for your lineup? Then if it were a soccer shootout, which 5 Auburn kickers, punters would you use for that? We've definitely had some strong legs throughout program history, Bill.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, by the way, they just showed that horrific Iraq giving up the goal to France, and it just makes you. It's basically equivalent of on first down on your own 25, you take the snap and you hand the ball to the linebacker to run into the end zone. That's basically what happened. It's so pitiful. That's a great question. All right, so what 5 Auburn kickers would you throw out there in a pressure situation? It's not just who are the best, but who would you like in pressure situations?
Yeah, does it have to be a long kick? It's money.
Right. I think there's 2 you just automatically have to take. Daniel Carlson and Wes Byram, right? I mean,
Yes,
if we were drafting, those would be the 2 at the top of my board, and I would be thrilled to have either one of them.
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, who would you take?
We've had a lot of great kickers.
A lot. Cody Parkey, very reliable. Would you take the one from Tuberville? 2000, is he 99, 2000, 2001? Damon Duvall. He had his ups and downs.
I don't know. I like to make data-informed decisions, okay? So
yeah.
If we're going to say this, I want to look and see like what, I'm pulling up the media guide and try to look at like the all-time kicker stats. How about that?
Sure. Del Greco, but we're trying to think like who would we off the top of your head who takes?
I'm just thinking about percentage, right? Because to me, that's a starting point. Some of these guys were like 20 for 30 in a season, and that's like,
Duvall would hit a 55-yarder to win a game for you, and then turn around and miss 2 short ones. But
that's
I mean,
exactly
but I feel like you couldn't go wrong with Vaughn and Del Greco.
I think those are. I mean, Parkey was good. Yeah. He was reliable. Etheridge.
Oh, Scott Etheridge, absolutely. Not the biggest leg, but very reliable in his range. But like you said, I mean, we've talked about this before. How they're doing the rowing. We've had a lot of good kickers. I mean, we talked about before that the only season in the modern era where we had any struggling at place kicking at all, really, was 1986, and that's been a long time ago. That's a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah. So,
all right, here are the top players in terms of field goal percentage in Auburn history, minimum of 10. Number 1, you're never going to guess. Are you ready?
By percentage. Okay.
Alex McPherson. Number 1.
Wow. Well, he only missed one that 1 year.
Yeah. Daniel Carlson, Scott Etheridge, Matt Hawkins, Win Lyle, Wes Byram, Cody Parkey, Jarrett Holmes, John Vaughn, Anders Carlson.
Yeah. Anders was the thing for Anders is he had his brother there right before him and was so good that Anders was great, but just wasn't quite Daniel.
Not in comparison.
Who was though? The thing about you mentioned one in there that Matt Hawkins was 94, but he missed that kick against Georgia that would have tied the game.
Agree.
Or would have won the game. We tied him. We would have won. And like you said, it's not just the numbers. It's also under pressure in the key moments. Like which one did you? If you only missed one, did you miss the Iron Bowl? Like McGinty back in '84. So, yeah. Yeah. There's so many to choose from, but I think that Byram and Carlson are the top two I'm going to take.
Agree. If Alex McPherson was 100% healthy, does he make your 5?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's automatic if he's healthy. He's automatic when he's not healthy. Jeez. If I could have Alex McPherson as a freshman before all this befell him, unfortunately, oh man, he was incredible. I think he was on his way to being our greatest kicker ever, and that's not just saying something, that's saying a lot.
Agree.
All right. The other half of it was who would you have kicking the penalty kicks, right? If you did it the other way around. And same guys probably, right? I don't know.
Are there punters that you would take?
Lewis Colbert.
Yeah, Oscar Chapman, Lewis Colbert. Maybe Duval there, right?
Yeah. The one that was so good back in '93 that they said had helium in the ball, all that.
Terry Daniel.
Can't think of his name. Terry Daniel, yeah. Oh yeah. Put him out there. He can't miss. He'll blow the goalkeeper out the back of the net if he tries to block it.
I like it.
All right. Good question. Good deal.
All right. And then our other question is from Auburn Elvis. He says, John Evan, who has more job security, an Auburn football coach or Great Britain's prime minister?
Oh, I did hear that their prime minister resigned today.
Listen, They don't just wave the gun around, man.
No. Yeah. We wave the gun around and only pull the trigger occasionally. They go ahead and
they're in a regular pulling the trigger pattern, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about the hot seat. That's Feinbaum needs to do prime ministers of the world on the hot seat. And I guess Starmer was number 1 or something. So yeah, no, I think our coaching situation always, I think, is overblown in the public perception, but we've talked about that many times.
I was going to say way fewer Auburn coaches than British prime ministers the last 10 years.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. They had one lasted like a week.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, Algeria and Jordan are up next. What a missed opportunity to have Jordan in that group. They have Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Just think they had Australia right there. They could have made it Group A. Argentina with the defending champion. It should have been Group A. Argentina, Algeria, Austria, Australia. That would have really confused the people that don't know the difference between Austria and Australia, though.
It would have been tough to announce.
Yeah. That's funny. That's good. I think I'm going to give my U.S. history students this fall a geography quiz, just to because I keep hearing that American young people and old people don't know where anything is. So I'm going to make a geography quiz.
U.S. geography or international geography?
Oh, both. I'm going to make them think it's worth a bunch of points too, and then I'll say, nah, it's just to see what you need to improve. Dude, while we're talking about it, when we were at Georgetown, I don't think you had this guy. I had Professor Hudson and international politics of the Middle East. And he gave us like a week to prepare for a Middle East geography exam. And he had the atlas we were supposed to buy to prepare. So I bought it. I read through it. I knew the Middle East pretty good. I studied even more. He gave us a test. Everybody failed it. And he yelled and hollered at us that we were all stupid, that we couldn't pass this test. Most of the places on his test were not in the atlas he had us buy for it to prepare.
Nice.
If you folks out there are thinking about coming up to Southwestern Illinois and taking one of the classes, I do not do that. Okay, I will not give you a test on stuff that you were not prepared for. I promise. I would never do that. Yeah, that's insane. All right, do we have any other questions?
That's it for listener questions. Before we go to around the SEC, I just realized we kind of skipped our depth chart position review thing.
Let's get that in.
We're going to do that.
Whatever you want to do, and then we'll. Okay.
All right. Last week we finished with offense basically, so we're going to jump back in and talk about defense this evening. And so I'm going to talk about defensive tackles. We're going to walk through that in our roster review. Going to share a screen and see if we can talk about this for a minute. So I'm going to start with, again, who we lost, who we retained, and then who we brought in and what the depth chart looks like. And we're doing this because with all the turnover in college sports and on the current roster, we don't know the players on this team. We need, we, even podcasters who talk about Auburn all the time, need better information about players on this roster. So we're going to start with who we lost. We lost Bobby Jameson Travis, went to the NFL. A good player that probably was underappreciated. Zeke Walker's done with eligibility, as is James Ash. Jay Hardy went back to Liberty, where he transferred from originally.
Give him Liberty or give him no eligibility.
Fair. Malik Blockton went to LSU. Out of everybody on this list we're going to talk about, he's the one player I really wish we could have kept. A productive defensive lineman. And then Antonio Coleman had some off-the-field legal problems, and he's at Alabama A&M. We retained 4 players at this position, valuable players. Dallas Walker, a big-time run stuffer. Malik Autry, Jordan Crawford, and Darian Smith, sophomores, part of that group you just talked about, the highly recruited players from before, who, the year before in that last freeze class. Those were all 4 or 5-star defensive linemen who were all productive players last year as backups, and really important to keep, young, talented defensive linemen. We've talked about that a lot over the years, how that's a critical need when you're developing depth on the roster. So then we brought in 3 transfers. Cody Sigler is the big-time transfer to be aware of from Arkansas State. We'll talk about him in a minute. St. Ferrier is a big run stuffer from Hampton. And Walter Mathis Jr. is a highly recruited guy who played 1 year at LSU and transferred. And Durkin and King Williams, knew him and recruited him out of high school and wanted him. So he transferred in. We kind of traded Blockton for Mathis.
All right, hold on. All right. 2 things here I got to mention. St. Farrier is the patron saint of what? What is St. Farrier? Like
he's the patron saint of run stopping. I don't know.
Run stopping. I love it. And does Walter Mathis still make televisions?
Probably, yes. I think
they may cost a little bit more, but they're worth it.
And then, as Van said, and then we signed 2 freshmen, Corey Wells and Tavion Branch, 2 freshman defensive tackles. And then so in the depth chart thing, so Sigler is the guy I just want to talk about for a minute.
Okay.
Sigler is the transfer for Arkansas State. He started out his career at West Alabama, Division II, and then he was going to transfer up, and he was actually recruited by this staff at USF, but wanted to go to Arkansas State instead of USF. I think he doesn't like the state of Florida. So then when he was looking to move up, he again engaged with this staff and was like, hey, I'd love to go to Auburn, and they wanted him. And one of the most productive defensive linemen in all of college football last year while at Arkansas State. I think he had 20 run tackles and 30 pass rush, where he disrupted the quarterback while like a 6'2", 300-pound defensive tackle at Arkansas State. So I know we talked about PFF and how those numbers are not the end-all, be-all about stuff, but he was in the top 10 in defensive tackles in terms of productivity while he's at Arkansas State. A very productive guy against active, I think, is the main way to think about him. So I definitely think he is going to play a lot this fall. He's a senior, a veteran guy, but also an active guy who can make plays and make things happen. So when I look at the depth chart, I think about Sigler playing. I think Dallas Walker is definitely going to start. I think he's just, again, a fourth or fifth year guy who's a huge run stopper. He's not a 3-down defensive lineman, but on first and second down, if the other team is running first and second down, if the other team is running the ball, they're going to have a problem. And because Dallas Walker is going to keep those offensive linemen bottled up and keep our linebackers free to run around and create havoc, as you described earlier.
I like it. Yes.
And then Crawford and Malik Autry are two big-time, defensive tackles that we recruited last year. They're 4 or 5-star guys. They are big-time players, and now they've been a year in the system. They were productive last year. I think both of them are going to come in and play a lot more this year and make a difference. And then Darian Smith was kind of the least high-profile of those, more of a smaller, faster guy, where Crawford and Autry are bigger, stronger guys. I think Smith could be like maybe more of a third and long kind of situation. You bring him in at defensive tackle and he can rush upfield and cause problems. Then I think St. Ferrier is kind of a backup, when we need more run stuffing and short yardage kind of situation. So that's how I see the depth chart right now.
Looking good. All right. Let's see. So put us back on here. What's left of us? Here we are. All right. So do you want to do any SEC this week, or are we good for now for next time, or how do you want to do it? Entirely up to you.
Let's save it. I'm good for them.
All right. Well, good. That's a good solid hour and 10 or 12 minutes. We're good. So, all right. So I guess we'll keep an eye on recruiting and everything. We'll have more about that coming up. There's been a little talk about the basketball team, and I do want to talk about that next time. Yeah. I'll say there was a really, really interesting podcast last week that some of the Auburn staff beat writers did, talking about with a basketball expert guy, national, talking about our new players and how they fit together, and said that we should be a lock to be back in the NCAA tournament with this team.
And the SEC home and away teams came out this afternoon. We don't know the dates for everybody yet, but we know who will play at home and who will play away, so we can go over more of the basketball schedule next week. That's a good one.
So expect some hoops talk next week, in addition to more recruiting and probably another guess the game and everything else. So looking forward to it already. All right, John, our time is up. We thank you for yours. Where you go, John?
Where you go, man?